Good evening, iRacers. Welcome to Apex Racing TV and our weekly coverage of the official iRacing Formula 3.5 Championship. Week 12 already, guys. That is pretty crazy. Almost at the end of Season 4 here. Road America tonight. Obviously, cracking traditional American circuit for these little 3.5 cars to be thundering around. And yeah, we're looking forward to bringing you the coverage. Lee Thompson here in the commentary box, joined this evening by Chanwei Han and by Dane Baird. Evening, guys. How are we looking forward to the 3.5s?
Evening, Lee. I'm looking forward to our coverage of tonight's round here at Road America.
Yeah, great. So it'd be good to look forward to seeing these cars battle it out with some cracking racing during the season so far. They're just finishing up the qualifying session now, 3 minutes or so to go. Gives us enough chance to get ourselves settled into the session and see how that qualifying shakes out. As I said, last week of the season, then, so let's have a quick look at the championship points and see how we are looking going into this final round. Of course, we need to see how the drop weeks shake themselves out, but Edward Samborski at the top, is that right, Samuli? I feel like there must be a typo in there somewhere that's put Mr. Samborski at the top of the standings, but nonetheless, that's what he's showing on our screen. Tim Delisle then right up there with Paul Ilbrink and Christoph Herbeneau. Of course, Delisle, Ilbrink and Herbeneau have been battling out at the front all season long, so those are the three title contenders. I think Tim Delisle has got the upper hand with drop weeks from what I understand, so we'll have to just see how things shake out after tonight's round. Dane, how do you find your single seaters when you play around in them in iRacing? Do you enjoy them, or are you more of a tin top man?
Yeah, I much prefer open wheelers. I started sim racing about 8 years ago in the F1 game, so I've pretty much only done single seaters for a good 6 or 7 years before I joined iRacing. I come to love the tim tops, actually, to be honest. Open wheelers kind of dying out a little bit before the introduction of these Formula 3.5s and the F3s, but I never really got into them that much. I prefer to do more LMP1 stuff actually now.
Oh, nice. So yeah, so still looking for those high performance cars, but yeah, no, those LMP1s are serious pieces of kit. It's good to see a little bit of resurgence with single seaters though. 3.5 certainly got more popular as the season's progressed. It seems we're up to 3 splits for tonight, so we've not seen that the rest of the season for our broadcasted races, so that is good to see. So we can see then we've got just a few minutes left to go for the qualifying, or a few seconds rather left to go for the qualifying session. It looks like pretty much everybody has parked up and finished their laps, so we're going to confirm the grid as the session rolls over just in a moment. And there we go, right on cue it does. Tim Delisle then taking that pole position with 1 minute 44.403. Matty Sipler right up there at the front. We've seen Matty a few times this season, not been a regular for our broadcasted events, but we know he's strong in the championship. And yeah, just 2 tenths off then in that second position for tonight. Rob Ball then in third with Michal Novska in fourth. Jorge Esposito in fifth with Alexis Mataruco in sixth. Ronaldo Augusto, good strong qualifying from here, it looks like, in seventh with Alex Bennett in eighth. Julian Nachi in 9th with Fraser Williamson in 10th. Paul Ilbrink in 11th with Edward Samborski in 12th. 13th is Ian Keeman with Omar Bahar alongside him in 14th. Thomas Knoll in 15th. Urkel Lindstrom in 16th. And James Pinsker in a 17th position. He did not have a good qualifying session. Expected to see him a little bit closer to the front. So great that we've got 3 splits tonight, guys. But yeah, it means we've got a little bit of a smaller grid going forward.
That's great to hear. Now, the fact that we've come to Road America, it is one of those tracks where all sorts of racing cars have come to open wheelers, no exception. So I think we're going to have a good show for us tonight with the way this circuit is. Not exactly too technical. Of course, every corner allows the car to kind of flow through one another, and it's going to be a good show for us tonight.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. As you say, a couple of long sections of straight on this circuit is going to enable the strong toe that we've seen on these cars all season long to really take effect. Just to confirm as well, Mr. Samulu Kumo confirms that Edward Samborski is indeed leading the championship based on the 8-week counted round. So he's obviously had a really consistent season, even though we've not necessarily seen him at the very, very top. I dare say that as the lights go to green now, we're going to see some changes to the championship standards. Tim Delisle off the line then in that pole position. Matti Sivula gets a little bit of a tough start. He's under pressure from Rob Bohr, looking to go up the middle, is he, Rob? That's going to be a tricky one if he makes that into turn 1. But Tim Delisle looks pretty comfortable on the inside into turn 1 there. Rob Bohr does stick on the inside ahead of Sivula, and in the background, that's a Novak, I think, in the wall hard. Collecting a couple of cars with him as well. Rear stepped out on him mid-turn 1. Rest of the field looked pretty clean, guys.
Looked like a crazy start there, but we do have the race leader Tim Delisle here, and Matt Sivula and Rob Bohr fighting up top for the race lead. Jorge Lopez Esposito in P4 with a slight gap behind him. And we've also got more drivers here as they come down Marine Sweep into this corners 5 and 6.
So those 3 cars involved in that incident to the back of the field, it was Alex Bennett, Omar Baha and Miha Novak. And I didn't see what happened. I did see someone really hard into the barriers in the exit of turn 1 there. Ooh. Oh, we've got more.
So that's Sipler, that's Rob Bohr off, is battling for that second position. So that's going to leave Tim Delisle to scamper free. Here's our replay then to look back. Rob Bohr is so far back coming off that corner. Where is he going to go? Just completely out-brakes himself, takes out Sipler. Oh, what a unfortunate start to the race. We've not really seen those sorts of errors from Rob Bohr all season long. He's been very consistent, I think. Always in and around the top 5, and just an uncharacteristic mistake from him, I think, unfortunately. He now battles to regain some ground in the midfield.
And here comes the field as they come towards the final few corners. Now, this is one of the more crucial corners where it is a little bit more difficult to make the overtaking, but also, as you just said, that a bit of a loss of traction, that contact between those 2 cars, and Rob Bohr goes into the pits at the end of lap 1.
And they're 3 wide coming over the start-finish line. Thomas Knoll with Samborski and Kierman, is it? Or Lindstrom? 3 wide as they go into turn 1. Thomas Knoll's got the inside, but contact a little bit behind. Kierman takes the position ahead in the end, and got very, very fortunate to get away with not more contact, but they were right on cue. We have got more contact going through what they call, of course, turn 3 here in America, but it really should be turn 2. Erka Lindstrom collected badly on the outside there. Looks like he's got some damage on that car and is at the back of the field. And so for all this craziness, Alexis Mataruco has all of a sudden jumped up into 2nd position from 6th on the grid, with Jose Exposito then in 3rd. So Tim Delisle really has been let off the hook here. It looks like he's going to be able to scamper free, and it looks like it's going to be a battle for the rest of the field. I think Mataruco and Esposito now really just need to focus on getting a couple of good laps in, try and build a little bit of space to the cars behind, and try and hang on in there for as long as they possibly can. Paul Lilbrink, by the way, having had such a poor qualifying, has gained 5 spots off the grid and is up to 6th, so he's going to be hunting these leaders down pretty quick. You can see him in the background there in the red Radical Online colours. So there he is, Paul Lilbrink right on screen in that 6th position. He's hunting down, as I said, Julian Nachi as they come to complete another lap already. So we said the tow's going to be pretty strong for these 3.5 cars, but they're all in a bit of a train at the minute. So I'm not going to expect to see too much gained from Lilbrink as he comes over the start-finish line. You see him coming up to 270k as he comes over the crest. Just behind as well, Augusto and Kierman looking pretty close into turn 1, but not close enough that time by to make a move. Only on that lap was Mataruco and Delisle in the 146s. Everyone else 147s or slower. So Mataruco doing a good job to try and cape on the pace of Delisle. And here comes Fraser Williamson in 4th position, making a move on Exposito. I said that Exposito would need to build a little bit of space behind. Williamson makes a nice clean move into turn 5, using all of that gigantic curb on the outside of the track there, and a very clean move indeed. Exposito now needs to try and hang on to Williamson's coattails to try and get pulled along back up to the front 2.
Brilliant move by Williamson to go up to the final position of the podiums up there. So he is 3rd now. A gap between himself and Esposito sits at what would appear to be 0.6 of a second, and they now make their way through the kink.
Yeah, Fraser very quickly building that gap already. So he needs to hunt after Mataruko now. It'll be interesting to see what lap time Williamson gets when he's got a bit of clean air. So he was a couple of tenths slower last time by, but of course he was in traffic trying to move his way forward. So after this rather frantic first lap and a half, and let's just confirm the top 10 that we're looking at in a minute. Tim Delisle in that first position, nearly 5 seconds down the road, 2.5 seconds down the road on Mataruko already. Mataruko then, in that second position with Williamson joining him on the podium after making that move a moment ago. Jorge Esposito in fourth with Julian Nachi in fifth. Paul Ilbrink still in that sixth position for now. Ronaldo Augusto in seventh. I'm Keeman in eighth with Edward Samborski in ninth after his issue early on. Thomas Knoll moving up into 10th position now as well. And he's going to be looking to make more progress as Keeman is looking aggressive, trying to get onto the back of Augusto as they come through the start of a lap.
Just now, a few seconds ago, we've seen Baja go past Alex Bennett. He was closing on him, he's behind him, less than half a second between them for a good 10-15 seconds there, and he's got ahead of him up into 11th place. Yeah,
and as you say, Bennett looking to come straight back at him now, actually. So Bennett using good use of that slipstream down into turn 5, runs a touch wide initially, but managed to cover the line off. Really goes aggressive to cover off turn 6, but here comes Baja back up the inside again. Bennett going to struggle to hang on around the outside initially, but drives off the corner very nicely, and Baja has to settle for that 12th position still for a minute. Still looking aggressive, but he's too far back going into turn 8.
They come into the carousel. Bennett leading Baja as they come around this corner, and we've also got James Pinsker, who's not too far behind these two drivers. Here they come into the kink, so they're going to offer one another slipstream as they go top speed into Canada corner as they come ever so closely to the braking zone. This is one of the more crucial corners where drivers might make their move, but of course the gap between Baja and Pinsker doesn't allow for a move to be made. And
yeah, we saw Pinsker showing a good turn of pace for the last couple of weeks. So I dare say he's going to continue to close the gap up ahead. Last time by, it wasn't electric. Maybe he's carrying a little bit of damage. We'll have to see as we go through the rest of the race. But frantic battle here for the back of the top 5. As we've got Ilbrink at the front of that train in that 5th. Nachi, Keeman, Augusto all within just a second or two of each other as they come through the opening section of the lap. Paul Ilbrink a little bit too far back from the cars ahead to get a good amount of tow, but actually Nachi had a really bad turn 3 there. So now it's him that's under pressure from Keeman, and Keeman breezes straight by so easy. He's got no top speed at all on this time down the straight as Nachi, and he's going to be under pressure now from Augusto as well, but just about manages to hold on. So but has a real moment coming off the corner. I said he held on and then he just gave it away on exit a corner. Nachi went from 6th to 8th in a corner and a half.
Yeah, they go into the hurry downs once again. We're looking at Augusto, and he leads Julian Nachi, who is about 3/10 of a second behind him. Around the carousel, they come not exactly close enough, but once again for a move to be made as they offer themselves slipstream again through the kink here.
Yeah, such a tricky section of a track, getting the car slowed down now for Canada corner, and the curbs on both inside and outside can really catch these single seaters out. So I dare say we're going to see someone get fired into the inside or outside wall at some point during tonight's race, but all looking very clean for the guys on screen this time by. Another lap about to be completed then. This little battle's just strung out slightly after those couple of changes of position on this lap. But say Paul Ilbrink still at the front of that queue there, and he was 0.6 of a second quicker previous lap over Jorge Esposito. Let's see how he's done this time by 47.5 for Esposito and 46.9 for Ilbrink, so another half second gained from Ilbrink that time as well. Aha and Bennett still going absolutely at it through the back of the circuit as we see a very poorly looking Edward Samborski in pit lane, not being his race at all tonight, as we see what happens.
So we're on board the replay, and looks like a bit of a loss of traction as he took the exit of turn 1, and there he went.
Yeah, it looked like he struggled from sort of mid-corner, really, didn't it? And then never quite managed to gather it back up. But yeah, Baha and Bennett here still challenging each other as they come through the back of the circuit. We can see it's just sort of ebbed and flowed a little bit over the last couple of laps. But yeah, Baha hanging on for now. Battle for that top 5 position still has just cooled off ever so slightly. I'm seeing half a second gap between each of those cars through that section, but Keeman looked like he had a tough carousel and kink that time by. So actually Augusto, you can see closing a long way for that 6th position as we look out the back of Keeman's car to Augusto there. You can get a good run through this final corner. It really can give you a good launch then down the front straight and give Augusto maybe a bit of an opportunity. And it looked pretty even that time by Keeman, just off the corner out a little bit better, and he should have the slipstream from Ilbrink ahead. So I'm not expecting to see Augusto really close too much. We see him creeping, but turn 1 is going to come just much too soon. I'm surprised that actually Ilbrink isn't driving away from these guys, by the way. We've seen him absolutely at the sharp end all season long as Augusto has a little bit of a nose in. But yeah, he's just not able to bridge the gap at the minute, and the guys are staying absolutely with him. Still a 3-car battle.
Interesting looking battle going to unfold here at this part of the grid between Ilbrink, Keeman, and what would appear to be Augusto from 5th, 6th, and 7th respectively. It would also look like Tim Delisle has built himself such a huge gap ahead of the rest of the field. He is, in fact, I think a full 3 seconds ahead of everyone else.
Yeah, we've seen Tim Delisle looking very under control for a number of races this season, and tonight is looking no different at all. So he's going to be looking pretty comfortable, I think, to take the championship title as we continue through this final broadcasted race, of course, of the week. Not to say that it's the last race where anyone's going to be able to score some big points, but it's certainly Tim Delisle's in hand tonight. So again, Paul Ilbrink just able to keep Keeman at bay as they work their way through Canada corner for another lap. It's just stagnated a little bit now after looking a bit frantic earlier on. Fraser Williamson on screen, not really been able to make his way up to Mataruco at all since he gained that place a few laps ago. In fact, half a second slower last time. And Expedito has indeed just barely able to claw his way, hanging in there behind Fraser Williamson. And in fact, we can see he was just a few tenths quicker that last time by, so Williamson not quite able to break away. Expedito, if he can hang in there for a few more laps, might well bring himself back into position to try and grab back that last podium spot, which would be a damn good result for him. We'll say we've not really seen Expedito, I don't think, this season particularly, so seeing him on the podium here would be quite an achievement.
As Williamson leads Esposito through this section of the circuit, that corner right there was quite a blind entry, so it is not exactly the easiest corner for the drivers to take their cars through. Paul Ilbrink and Augusto going for a move down the hurry downs. So of course the advantage is to Paul Ilbrink as he sits in P6, but of course drivers Augusto and Nachi do not sit too far behind as they come around the carousel. And what would come right after a slipstream zone once again. Here we look at Keeman and back to Ilbrink again as they come top speed around the kink, and also on the rundown through.
Yeah, sorry, Chan. Yeah, I think Ilbrink must have had an issue just before we cut to him, mustn't he? Because he's lost a position already before we cut to him. And again, he's struggling. So whether he'd had a slowdown earlier on lap or whether he had an error like he has there, but now that's 2 positions that he's lost, gone from 5th to 7th. And all of a sudden, this race is just not quite going Paul Ilbrink's way. Going to have an opportunity to challenge straight back on Augusto, though, as he gets a much better drive off of the corner. But look at the relative screen in the bottom corner. Nachi is right there as well, right behind. And in fact, inside, as the cameraman desperately searches for where Nachi is, Ilbrink tries to move over to cover, and Nachi has to tuck back in behind the rear wing. And in the end, nobody makes a gain of position. I'm really surprised that Ilbrink didn't have the top speed there in the slipstream initially to get by Augusto. I think perhaps he was too close coming off the final corner and just wasn't able to stay in that toe for long enough. But here comes Nachi again on Ilbrink. Ilbrink's going to have to defend if he wants to hold on to this position. It in fact allows Nachi to go to the inside, so Ilbrink feels confident that either the slipstream ahead is going to keep him in front or he can drive around the outside. Nachi later on the brakes, but Ilbrink does drive straight around the outside. Nachi a little bit cautious, actually kind of mid-corner on that one, and Ilbrink has to manage to hold on, and now has got an opportunity to try and get back. That sixth position from Augusto as Alex Bennett hard into the wall. I dare say, I just maybe don't see the damage on the front wing. So did he somehow keep it out of the wall into to turn 4 there? But here we go. Bennett and Baja it was. Bennett just outbrakes himself a little bit initially, I thought, but no, just got contact from Baja behind. So I think Bennett was just struggling on the exit. We can see him swerving a little bit on the exit curb and perhaps just caught Baja out with his lack of acceleration as he came off the corner. So that was a real shame. Yeah, we saw some long battles between those two, so it's a shame that's been broken up. And yeah, certainly Bennett has come worse off on that one, down into 13th now. And so back at the front, we can see Tim DeLisle having a very, very lonely race. He was really absolutely handed this comfortable opening section from Bohr and Sipler, having that coming together earlier on. Rob Bohr, by the way, is going again in the race, but running at the back of the field. Sipler had to retire, so Edward Samborski and Marty Sipler, the two retirees so far. Tim DeLisle last time by just a tenth or so off his fastest lap, so he's still pushing pretty hard. But I'm impressed that the guys behind, Matariko, Williamson, Expedito, only 2/10 slower than Tim DeLisle last time by. So they're doing a decent job of trying to hang on to his pace. But ultimately, I think Tim DeLisle will just be relentless, and there will be quite an event if he manages to be caught through the second half of the race. So there is Matariko looking pretty lonely. We can see just in the background, Williamson and Esposito are looking maybe a little bit closer than they were the last time we checked in. And in fact, Williamson goes wide on the exit of the corner. Esposito driving around the outside now of the carousel, carries that momentum. I dare say Williamson might be able to keep his nose in. No, he has to slot back into the slipstream. Not going to be an opportunity now here in the King. Right underneath his gearbox. Couldn't be any closer under the rear wing as they go through the King. Esposito is going to have the inside now, the Canada corner. So can Williamson be much later on the brakes and carry the momentum? He can certainly try. He does. Esposito gives him plenty of room on the outside, and Williamson regains that position after making that error. So yeah, Expedito absolutely in the hunt now then for this podium position. And we can see not much behind either. I am Keeman lurking in the background, just waiting to take advantage of these two squabbling again.
What a brilliant drive by,
Sorry, you could see Expedito there going around the outside into carousel corner. I don't think you would see that in any other car other than the Formula Renault, because it is pretty much for every single car you're going to have to brake or definitely lift for that corner. But in these cars, it's 100% flat, which really surprised me actually, and he's almost managed to make that move stick. Unlucky there.
Certainly so. Yeah, because I think the downforce of these cars do allow for these cars to pretty much take a lot of the corners at a much higher speed than most others. Brilliant driving by Williamson and Exposito all night long, as we ride on the nose camera of Exposito as he seeks to perhaps go for another move up to P3, as it is currently held by Williamson as they make their way through these corners. Coming up to the hurry downs, they go, oh, a huge mistake by Williamson, and that's going to put him down a couple of spots. Rather, it's just lost one spot, and he seats P3 to Exposito.
Yeah, a couple of unforced errors now from Williamson we've seen. So I should say, Exposito jumping up into that podium spot. Williamson was lucky not to lose more time through that incident. Could have been a big off if he just ended up a little bit more sideways. But now he just needs to try and knuckle down, try and concentrate on getting a couple of clean laps in, because these laps are ticking away. So we're almost halfway through the race already. And if he wants that podium position, he's going to just need to up his game again a little bit more. But say Keeman still there, lurking, look ready. It's almost Keeman is as far behind Williamson as Williamson needs to get to Exposito in front. So it would be interesting to see how the toe affects this little battle as well. It should just Constantina together just that a little bit more as they continue for the next couple of laps.
So I reckon that for as much as Williamson and Exposito battle it out with each other, I think the fact is that the more they do it, the more they stand to actually stray further and further behind Mataruko and Delisle. So this is going to open up the gap a little more as the race progresses, and potentially allow Keeman to inch ever so closer to Williamson.
Yeah, and as they work their way back down into turn 4 again, you can see how much Keeman has already gained just in these last couple of straights on Williamson. He's down to within half a second now as they came through the braking zone. So I dare say Keeman is going to continue to join this battle as they continue through. You can see strength for field tonight, 4.4k for the session. So I think comfortably our strongest field. Again, of course, it was 3 splits that we had here for tonight's race, so that has certainly bumped that up a lot more. All A-class drivers, in fact, that we have in the session tonight. So we've seen maybe a little bit more variance at time through the rest of the season with iRacing, but yeah, everybody above pretty much bang on 3,500 iRating and above to get into the session tonight. As Williamson again maybe just looking a little bit scruffy on exit again still. So I dare say that Keeman is feeling confident about trying to get into that 4th position and continue his moves forward. 8 positions gained from his grid slot, guys, for Ian Keeman, and it looks like there might be an opportunity for more.
Gap between Williamson and Keeman stand at what is going to be reducing all the way down to the hundreds. Now for a late straight move, here comes Keeman as he's gone for the move for P4 ahead of Fraser Williamson. But is Williamson going to go for a comeback as they make their way through turns 2 and 3? Does so, and he retakes P4. But we are coming up to this second long straight once again, where they're gonna do slipstream with each other, and this is going to be the run down towards the Marine sweep. Here comes Keeman along the inside. Fraser Williamson is going to be too wide as they take the corner here. Keeman goes back up, and another mistake by Williamson. Unfortunate race for him today. He goes back down to P5.
Yeah, so position made for Keeman, and so that's 9 spots gained from his grid slot now. And Williamson, you can see, not feeling comfortable with the car, weaving around in the background there as he went down the short little straight, trying to get a feel for what is going on with his car. But he's going to be under pressure again pretty soon from Augusto if it continues on, dropping down yet another spot. Alex Bennett has gone into pit lane. It looks retiring with that damage we saw he received a lap or 2 ago. But yeah, this is the focus now of the battle from 4th position back, and we can see Paul Ilbrink is working his way up to the group now as well in 7th position after dropping from that 5th earlier on. So yeah, hopefully for our sakes this continues just to close up a little bit more. We can get a nice finale for who's going to get those sort of top 5 positions that are available. Dalal still looking comfortable at the front from Mataruko, from Exposito, from Keeman, from Williamson, from Augusto, from Ilbrink, from Nachi, from Thomas Knoll, who's gained 1 spot since I last looked, to James Pinsker in 10th. He's gained some more positions as well, as Pinsker having started right at the very back of the grid. I'm pretty sure he qualified last of the field.
Being in P5 now, Williamson now leads Augusto and Ilbrink, who are in 6th and 7th respectively. So the cars are still a little bit spaced on up, but here comes Augusto as he would seek the slipstream of Williamson as they approach this corner, but not close enough to make a move. But we would see something develop as they make their way through the next few corners.
Yeah, Augusto looking pretty racy now, closing on Fraser Williamson still for that 5th position. And we can just see that red car of Ilbrink lurking in the background, ready again to capitalise. Just as we saw Keeman capitalise earlier on, he was able to gain those positions from the squabbles up ahead as well. So just what, 2.5 seconds between 4th and 7th position, Keeman and Ilbrink at the minute. It's a lot closer now between Williamson and Augusto. Augusto smells an opportunity coming, so he needs to just focus on getting some good lines through his last few corners and getting himself in as good a position as he can for the exit of the final corner. Of course, that's going to be your big opportunity for overtaking down that front straight. Not really much of a braking zone, mind, into turn 1, so you really have got to get up alongside before you get there. But yeah, Augusto now within 0.3 of a second now of Williamson as they come over the start finish line. Williamson already feeling the need to defend, goes to the inside. Augusto then on the outside and just drives straight by. Williamson, I think, must be struggling with that car. Really surprised on his lack of top speed on that one.
Augusto up to P5, and Williamson unfortunately relegated another position down into P6 as they return now to this second long straight again. Is Williamson ever going to have the opportunity to make his return move against the drivers in front of him? Taking the slipstream now into Moraine sweep. This is going to be, oh look, he might have had a suboptimal exit through that corner there as he comes upon the hurry downs.
Coming with 10 laps left of this race, we've got Mataruco was hanging in there to Tim Delisle, and he's now dropped back a bit. He was about 3 seconds behind, he's now 5 seconds behind. I think Delisle's got this one in the bag if he doesn't make any mistakes. We've also got Williamson off to his trip across the grass, really struggling with that car, and that's allowed Exposito to build up a nice 2-second gap to IM Keeman there.
Yeah, certainly is looking that way. So I think Williamson definitely struggling with that car now, as you say, after his instance. And here comes Paul Ilbrink, going to breeze by as well. Williamson tries to put up a little bit of a fight going around the outside of the corner. Ilbrink gives him plenty of space, has a little bit of a wiggle on power, and Williamson does hold on to that position that time. Wasn't as easy as I expected for Ilbrink, but we know now that down the front straight, Williamson just isn't going to have that top speed, and Ilbrink will be tucking into that slipstream. And Williamson, we can see already trying to defend, sitting into the middle of the track. Paul Ilbrink, though, still has the space to go up the inside, right up against that concrete pit wall. Let's see if Williamson can get anything back on him in the tow. He gives it his best, but Ilbrink going to have that position up into 6th. Williamson down into that 7th, running a little bit wide off the exit of turn 1 that time as well, kicking up the dust off the corner. Be interesting to see how Williamson does actually in the tow on this one, because we've seen him dropping back elsewhere in the lap, but this is the first time he's had a whole straight of tucking in the tow, and he's just been dropping back the whole time. So yeah, for sure, just not got the car underneath him that he is expecting for tonight. Ilbrink still needs to crack on with it a little bit more if he wants to gain any other positions, though, because he's got a bit of gap now to Augusto in front of him after those couple of maneuvers. 1.8 seconds to Augusto ahead. So I dare say that Ilbrink might be holding in this 6th position for quite some time, unless there's an instant further up ahead. Our timing screens have just all calmed down a little bit now, apart from this little grouping between Ilbrink and Williamson. The rest of the screen is pretty much white on gaps. Keeman last time by just a whisper quicker than Exposito in 3rd, so that could just keep developing if a little bit more time comes to Keeman in these closing laps. But Augusto actually was the quicker one behind both of those cars. Half a second quicker last time by was Augusto than Keeman and Exposito. So Augusto coming back forward after getting caught up a little bit at the start of the race.
We do in fact have possibly 9 laps of racing to go at this point. Of course, Tim Delisle still leads the race this late on, and Mataruco in 2nd. Exposito takes 3rd, and Keeman still sits in 4th. He is 0.6 of a second ahead of Augusto. Of course, this might change with the corners to come afterwards, and of course the fact that they're now on the 2nd long straight here. Augusto taking the toe of Keeman, but of course not exactly close enough for that move to take place. Here they come down into Moraine.
Yeah, tricky corner that one again for these single-seaters. Yeah, it can be A little bit awkward sort of mid to exit on that corner for some reason. The cars can just unsettle very easy. It's such a slow apex on that corner to get on the power, trying to get up that hill as quickly as you possibly can. We do see vehicles struggling at pretty regular times through the laps, but all looks fairly clean that time by. As we look on board now with Augusto trying to hunt down Ian Keeman in front of him. Last time by he was 2 tenths quicker that time than the cars ahead. So yeah, Augusto feeling comfortable with the car, burning down the fuel, getting that a little bit lighter, the tyres wearing that a little bit more. He's feeling comfortable, it seems. Just misses the apex a fraction on turn. You can see the difference between him and Keeman. Keeman had a good wheel and a half over the curb on the inside, but Augusto didn't quite make contact with the curb at all. What about on the final corner? Yeah, looked better that one on Augusto. Hit the apex, and we can see how much he closed through that corner on Keeman. And yeah, already now down to 3 tenths as they come over the start-finish line. Let's see how he keeps closing in the draft. Keeman's going to have to defend if he wants to hold on to this position. But actually, Augusto lifts quite early. I mean, yeah, the turn 1 was coming. We know there's not really much of a braking zone, but he decided to play the patient game even so on that one. And let's see if he'll get himself lined up and ready for a move into turn 4. Misses the apex again, though. So you can see Keeman just pulling away off the exit of the corner, and that was why.
And I can see that Tim Delisle's just set the fastest lap of the race, 2 laps running now. He's really not sitting back and letting Mataruccio fall behind. He's pushing constantly, and it's showing. Gap now to Mataruccio down to 6 seconds, and he's really pulling away from this one. It looks like he has definitely got this one in the bag, and Augusto just not close enough there to catch Keeman.
No, just lost a little bit of time through those couple of corners on that one. We did say we saw him down to within 3 tenths or so, but Keeman managed just to pull out that gap a little bit more this time by. So again, yeah, a little bit of a quiet second half to the race tonight. It all kind of kicked off in the opening lap, a couple of little battles for the top 5 positions, but now everyone is just spreading out ever so slightly. Williamson, though, just lost a position to Nachi, and there we go. That'll be why. Williamson facing the wrong way. They'll see a replay now of what happened to him. It's going to be through the carousel, through the looks of it, which is going to be an unusual place really to lose the car. I guess he's just going to run wide on exit. And he does. There's the grass, and lucky not to end up in a wall there. Many a time you end up in the inside wall after spinning there. Stays well out of the way does Williamson. Waits for his opportunity to get turned around. A nice, safe rejoin onto track for Williamson. But all the way down the field now for Williamson, down to 11th after being looking like he was going to be getting a podium early on. From 3rd to 11th, guys. Not been Fraser's race here tonight at all. Okay, so as we switch back then to Keeman and Augusto, we can see that Augusto still hasn't really managed to close any further. He lost 3 tenths of a lap that time by. Who have we got in the 46s at the minute? So Tim Delisle last time by 46.1, Mataruccio 46.5, Exposito 46.7, and Paul Ilbrink also 46.7. So Ilbrink was a good half second quicker than Augusto last time by. We see him much closer there in the background, looking to get involved in this battle for 4th position. But he's going to have to continue closing by that sort of amount, half a second a lap, with just the handful of laps we have remaining if he wants to make those positions. But say Augusto just a little bit up and down this last lap or two now. He closed well on the previous lap, lost a bit of time on the next one, so hopefully he can continue to hook that car together and give Keeman a good race for the last couple of laps here.
Would expect a multi-car battle here perhaps to unfold over the next few laps. Of course, we've not got too many laps left before the end of the race, but of course it would appear that these cars are close enough for something to shape up as the corners or the laps progress. They make their way around the final corner again. Good exit there by Augusto, and so did Keeman. And they now prepare themselves for another lap along Road America Straight.
Road America, of course, yeah, it's a classic circuit that we come to in North America. You know, it's a big old circuit as well. I mean, these say single seaters. They're not like little skippy cars, or whatever. They've got some speed about them. You know, they're not a million miles away from an F1 car in the grand scheme of things. But even with these long straights, we're seeing how much that toe can have an effect for these cars through these opening laps that we've had so far. It's a big wide track most of the time as well. We've seen the opportunity for different battles as Keeman just goes a little bit wide through turn 4 on the exit there actually, and so Augusto has closed right back up. How do you guys find Road America when you drive here? It always used to be a favorite of mine with the the undulations through the middle of the circuit, the mid sector especially. You guys find it a good one to drive on? Cool. All right, I don't mind. Tim Delisle still leading at the front from Mataruco from Exposito. That is our podium position, but here comes Renato Augusto looking to get involved again for Keeman. As close as we've seen him in this whole battle, Keeman doesn't feel the need to defend into Canada corner, and so that time by Augusto just has to bide his time again. He needs to focus on getting this good run out of the final corner to try to challenge Keeman and really get that position made if he wants it. Good exit of looked like from Keeman that time. You can see how he perfectly judged the left rear tyre on that exit curb, but still Augusto with the slipstream. Keeman doesn't defend, that surprises me. So Augusto now going to have the inside line for turn 1. So it's not really much of a braking zone, and Keeman just backs off, allows Augusto the place. So that was an anticlimax. We had this one battle on track, and in the end, Keeman just backed out of it and handed Augusto the place. That was a shame, but Augusto, did the work to get up to Keeman, up into 4th position. And we can see that Exposito still isn't that much further down the track, and in fact, Augusto was a second quicker almost than Exposito last time by. There it is on screen, 0.862 quicker. So with just these couple of laps remaining now, Exposito needs to just keep that pace up just a little bit more, not let any errors creep in if he wants to hold on to this podium spot.
Augusto possibly driving on fire all night long, because he's made 3 positions gain from where he began. Augusto in 4th, of course Exposito as well 2 positions up from where he started. So his advantage ahead of Augusto is just 1.11 seconds, and this does seem to be remaining as such as the cars take the corners that come. Mataruco so far ahead of where Exposito is, a full 9 seconds ahead of the rest of the field, and so is Tim Delisle, who is another, in fact, 8 seconds ahead. Because great driving by the drivers up front here in the pointy end of the field as they lead the rest of the field here at Road America.
Yeah, Mataruco had a very, very lonely race, really, from the start. So he did well to avoid the carnage between Bohr and Sippler at the opening corners. But Mataruco then not really seen any errors from him at all in the whole race. He's been looking very consistent. Lap time is only beaten by Tim Delisle for his fastest lap. So Mataruco is certainly showing that he's had the pace out there to be on the podium. Looking back for that battle for 3rd position, Ronaldo Augusto now within a second of Exposito. So again, last time by, gained that little bit of time over Exposito. Half a second he gained last time by compared to the second before, but laps are ticking away. He needs to really continue to hone in. I'm still surprised that Ilbrink in the background of the shot just hasn't managed to really make any kind of imprint on these guys. I wonder if we'll hear from him that he's maybe suffering with a little bit of damage, or maybe he's just not been comfortable on the track and in the car this week. But I really expected Ilbrink to drive through the field after his poor qualifying. But 6th position is as good as it's gotten for now. You can see he's going to have an opportunity maybe to scrape a 5th spot, maybe at best. But Keeman just needs to stay consistent, and he might have a decent chance of hanging on in there. But these 4 cars now, 3, 4, 5th, 6th, you can see them all within a few seconds of each other. So maybe it's just going to keep coming back towards us again for these last laps.
We are at lap 21 of 24 here at Road America, so that means 3 laps to go in this race. Not much time left. So in fact, not much time left for the drivers to go for any more late in the race moves, so to speak. Keeman still in 5th, and he sits at 0.8 of a second ahead of Paulie Brink. So of course we've seen Keeman putting up quite a good show as well. I guess with drivers earlier on in the race, and of course he's holding his ground firmly.
Yeah, Keeman has really seemed to have come on in the second half of the season as well. We've seen him in a good number of races for our broadcast, and he really seems to have been working his way towards the front a little bit more in the last couple of weeks. So again, consistent race here tonight. We've not really seen any errors from him at all. And now say he's got one of the championship challengers of Paul Ilbrink behind him, not really managing to make a huge amount of an impression. So I'm sure Keeman is going to be pretty happy with his performance so far, but say just needs to hang on in there for these last couple of laps. Exposito now only 8 tenths ahead of Augusto, so Augusto's still just chipping away ever so slightly every time round. But Exposito, if he can keep it consistent, looks like he's going to have this podium position in hand. Still not seeing really any action through the rest of the field. By the way, it looks like a pretty lonely race for a number of guys out there. So our focus is going to be on this 3, 4, 5th, 6th position battle. Augusto just dropped back a little bit actually through that last sequence of corners. So yeah, just back to around the 1 second mark.
Here we go, Tim DeLisle leading ever so comfortably ahead of the rest of the field. He sits 8 seconds ahead of Alexis Mataruco and another 18 seconds ahead of the rest of the field. His last time by would appear to be 145.82, which is still a bit blistering fast lap time, faster than most of the other drivers who have done the previous lap.
All right,
Paul
let's see.
Ilbrink, sorry man.
Yeah, I was going to say, just as you were going to say, let's see what happened to Paul Ilbrink. So just run wide off the final corner then on the replay. Did well to keep it all together, but really went bouncing across the grass. And that's really, I think, killed off any chance he had of challenging Keeman then on this last lap. And I think time's run out as well for Augusto. So unless there's a big mistake from Exposito now in that 3rd position for this this final kind of half of the lap, then Exposito is looking pretty comfortable in that P3 position. Another car that's looking very, very comfortable is that Tim DeLisle. Such a big gap that he's got in front, 8.5, 9 seconds as he works his way down towards Canada corner. Just a couple of corners, sorry, to go to finish off the session. We've seen Tim be dominant, for most of the season. He's had challenges here and there. He had good races from Ilbrink against him, from Herbano against him. But Tim DeLisle is going to be sewing up the championship, I think, this season pretty comfortably with another dominant position, dominant display, as he comes out the final corner over the hill and crosses the start-finish line. It takes the win for week 12 of the official iRacing Formula 3.5 Championship, fastest lap to rub things in on that last lap as well. Mataruco then does take that second, again looking very, very comfortable all the way through. How's the battle for 3rd going? Well, Augusto has closed to within 6 tenths of a second, but it just wasn't enough coming off the final corner. So yeah, DeLisle, Mataruco, Exposito was our podium for tonight's race. Yeah, it'll be interesting to hear from a couple of the guys to see what some of the issues were out there on track. So a couple of cars maybe just missing from some of the battles out there. We had a frantic first lap, but maybe it wasn't one of our classic 3.5 races to finish off season, which is a shame. But we certainly have seen some good racing out there all season long, and these guys, I'm sure, enjoyed their races overall at this Road America circuit.
Sure was quite an exciting race, more so to the first few minutes as well as the first half of the race, as we've seen quite a lot of the context and mistakes that kind of happened earlier on in the race that kind of determined how the race would flow throughout the rest of the race.
And just as the last couple of runners crossing over the line to finish off their night's racing, will then be ready just to confirm the final results as iRacing provides it. Yeah, so it was a real shame for that contact at the start between Sipala and Rob Bohr. Would have been interesting to have seen how that podium battle would have been a bit different. I'd say that Sipala might have given Delisle a little bit of a run for his money in the opening laps at least, but yeah, not to be this time. So there we go then, here's our race results. Tim Delisle taking a win, as we saw, almost 10 seconds in the end. So yeah, dominant display from Maturuko, but he didn't really have any real competition for that win out there tonight. Maturuko then, yeah, taking second, Jorge Esposito in third. We can see a 10-second gap between each of the top three, and it was much closer then further back. So Exposito, yeah, just half a second over Augusto in the end in fourth. Ian Keeman did take that fifth position, holding off Paul Ilbrink in sixth. Julian Nachi, we didn't really see a huge amount of him out there in the seventh. We didn't really see any of Thomas Knoll either in eighth position. James Pinsker in ninth, with Urka Lindstrom in 10th after getting caught up in an incident earlier on. Rob Ball recovered to 11th place after his big impact with Sipler on the opening lap. Mihar Novska in 12th, with Omar Bahar also caught up in incidents in 13th. Bahar was our last finisher. Williamson, Bennett, Samborski and Sipler were all non-classified, were not classified as finishing the race. So yeah, so despite those 17 cars, they still saw some good bit of action out on track. Perhaps if Mr. Kumo is able, we can have a little look at the opening lap and have a look at the contact that we saw between second and third position between yeah, Sipler and Rob Ball, and see exactly what happened there. It was say just a little bit of a tough start from Sipler off the line that enabled Rob Ball to get a little bit of a run on him in the in towards turn one initially, but it wasn't until a little bit further around the lap turn that we saw then Rob Ball get tangled up inside for Rob Ball initially on Sipler. Looked like it was going to give him a good run for his money, and there went which car was it? It was Novask, I think it was, that went into the wall early on there, and yeah, made a dive away from the track. Sipler defending then into turn four. Rob Ball looking to have a little bit of a nose up the inside. Sipler, in fact, didn't really feel the need to defend that time by, but we can see the cars side by side further in the background, and then just a couple of corners to go then until we see where how Rob Ball had his little misjudgment. It certainly didn't seem like at the time that Sipler brakes particularly early or anything, and we see Rob Ball didn't really get a run, and yeah, just completely blew by his braking zone somehow. And as I said at the time, Rob Ball we've seen all season long been very consistent. We've not really seen those sorts of mistakes from Rob, so unfortunate for him. So that was yeah, that was that incident for second and third position early on. Let's have a little chat with a couple of the drivers, and I think we need to bring in our de facto championship leader, Tim Delisle. First interview for the season. Tim, thanks for joining us in the commentary box. Looks a very comfortable win out there tonight after the cars behind took themselves out the running early on. You've been obviously pretty dominant all season long, and it looked like you should be having the championship sewn up now.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, it might have looked easy, but it never is. Like, I don't deal with pressure well, and coming into this round, I knew it was sort of for the championship win, so just to be able to hold on, that made it a lot easier that P2 and 3 got taken out early on, but yeah, it was still a tough race.
Yeah, certainly when you end up with a lonely race like that, that concentration can be a big issue. You say you have to kind of work through the pressure at times. How do you find kind of concentration when you're just sort of kind of hot lapping in that manner?
For me, what I just try to do is focus on my lap times. I think I had 3 or 4 laps in a row where I was doing 46 zeros. It's just try to be really consistent and not let any other thoughts enter you.
Yeah, easier said than done, certainly. But say, it looked like everything was well under control out there tonight. As we said, we've seen you looking very dominant through a number of races this season. Are you planning on running 3.5s again next year? Tim, forgive me for not knowing whether you've tended to run them in previous seasons or whether this was more of a one-off for you.
Yeah, this was my 3rd full-time season, and the previous championships have come 3rd and 2nd, so this was my goal from the beginning of this season, but I didn't think I could pull it off. But somehow I did, but anyway, I'm going to try to defend that next season.
Excellent. Yeah, so perfect increments then each season. Tricky to know where you're gonna go for next season then. Well, like I say, it would be great to see you back at the sharp and, like I say, defending your title next season. And we will be looking forward to seeing you on the broadcast, of course. Congratulations on that championship and your nice little certificate that you're going to get from iRacing at the end of the season. Would you like to give a shout out to team and sponsors, Tim?
Sure. First of all, I didn't even know I got a certificate, so that's pretty cool. This is my first championship win. But yeah, I'd just like to thank my team, PSR, Positive Sim Racing. It's been great working with them over the season. We've all collaborated to bring setups together and all that sort of thing. My girlfriend Amy for having to deal with me getting up at 5 a.m. every Saturday and Sunday for the last 3 months. Cam, Greg, yeah, I couldn't be happier, and thanks for all the coverage, guys. It's been really great, so thank you.
Not a problem. Thank you for being out there, Tim, and yeah, congratulations again on that result. So we look forward to seeing you next season. Thank you very much. Next up, sorry, Tim, thank you very much. So next up then in commentary box is going to be our regular contributor of Paul Ilbrink. We should almost maybe give you a position on Apex Racing TV, Paul. We see you in the commentary booth so much. Not one of your strongest races tonight, mate. Looked like you struggled from sort of qualifying onwards. So how were you finding it out there?
Yeah, I think I missed a memo this week on how to go fast here. To be fair, like if I'd gone like a 10th or 10th and a half quicker in qualifying, I would have been way further up, but that was not the case. So yeah, I don't know, just lacking a bit of pace, and made a small mistake during the race as well, which cost me the position to Augusto. And yeah, after that I was just struggling to keep up. So I don't know what I did wrong, but yeah.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I was wondering if maybe you suffered a little bit of damage that we didn't see somewhere during the race, but no, wasn't that just purely pace? I was expecting to see you maybe gain those few positions over the cars ahead. I mean, how much do you think it was that? I mean, did you feel not comfortable in the car, or do you think that perhaps just everyone, those cars ahead of you, just really got things hooked up and found their rhythm somehow?
I don't know. I didn't feel like 100% confident, but it was not that it was like a knife edge to drive on. But yeah, I don't know. I was just struggling to go really fast. To be fair, like towards the end of the race, the pace was okay, I think. But yeah, that was a little bit too late anyway, because I like closed the gap to the guys in front, and I didn't finish too far off from P3. But yeah, I don't know. I think everybody just did a better job than me. So it would be nice to blame it on damage or something, but I didn't hit anything and didn't do any crazy off-track excursions or anything. So yeah, it must just be me, I think.
Yeah, we saw one little off track on the final corner. Looked like you did well to keep that pointing in the straight line off of there. But say it's obviously been a strong season for you, Paul. You're expecting to finish in the podium positions, I think, for championship once the drop weeks shake out, I presume. What are you thinking for next season? You're going to be back in the 3.5s again then?
Probably, I guess. It depends a bit. Like the league that I ran also continues in this car, so I think I'll be back in the official series as well. So looking forward to that. And above all, I want to congratulate Tim as well on the stunning job he did again tonight, and just all season long for getting the championship. I think he really deserves it. So head off to him.
Yeah, great, excellent. If you want to give your roll call to your team and sponsors, Tim, before we let you go.
Yeah, sure. I want to thank everybody at Radicals Online for the help in various things. And then, of course, our partners and sponsors, Cranfield Simulation, Joel Real Timing, us the Sim Race, Arma Centrum, Motiv Podcast, Turn Racing, Sim Mortal, Six Sideways, and Pixel.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
And of course, you guys. So,
I was about to complain that you hadn't covered that yet. So thanks for joining us again, Paul. Hopefully we do see you again next season. If nothing else, we'd have had a few lonely weeks where no drivers came in for interviews otherwise. So we appreciate it for that, if nothing else. Congratulations on your season, and we shall speak to you again soon. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks.
Right, so looks like those are our two interviewees for the evening. I have to admit that I meant to be a little bit more organised for this final broadcast of the season and organise Mr. Thomas Knoll to make sure he came and joined us in the commentary booth, but I failed on my duties of suggesting that to him before the event. Obviously, big thank you, I'm sure, from all the drivers in the series to Thomas Knoll for organising the broadcast. Basically, he got the drivers together, clubbed them together for us to come and provide the broadcast, and it sounds like everybody, for the most part, I'm sure, have been happy with what they've received, and it seems like everyone's been so happy that we're pleased to announce that next season for the Formula 3.5 Championship, we're going to be broadcasting on the iRacing Esports Network. So that will be great for the series, a lot more promotion for the 3.5 car. It would be great to see the response maybe from the viewers and some of the great racing that we've seen this season. Hopefully that will help the popularity of the car. But yeah, I've seen plenty of comments from drivers already sort of thanking Thomas for his work on getting everything organised, and for sure he's put a lot of effort into making sure that his favourite car on the service, I presume, is getting the coverage that it deserves. So yeah, so thank you to Tom, and say congratulations to him for organising not only this season but also our upcoming coverage on the iRacing Esports Network. Before I forget as well, the next season's broadcast will be on a later slot, so it's going to be the 10 o'clock GMT slot that will be broadcasted next season instead of this 8 o'clock one, just to make sure there is no confusion out there. So Chan and Dane, like I say, it was a pretty incident-packed entrance to the race, tailed off a little bit elsewhere, but yeah, good fun cars generally to commentate on.
Yeah, very much. So yeah, Lee, thanks for having myself on. Yeah, I think this car being not being the easiest on the service, it does take some time to kind of get warmed up to, even if it's for seasoned drivers. But of course, all the drivers, they've put up a great show for us. From the front to the back of the field, we've always got some action going on throughout the race.
Right, so before we wrap things up, let's just have a quick look at our schedule coming up on Apex Racing TV and what we have to bring you for the rest of the week. Of course, we are coming into week 13 and then Christmas, so the broadcast schedule is going to be getting interfered with a little bit, but let's have a quick look and see what we have got lined up. So tomorrow morning then is going to be the final round of the season for the Aussie Mixed and Fixed GT series. They've had quite a season over there, I hear, so it'd be great to see how the things wrap up over there. That is another series that we are very happy to move on to the iRacing Esports Network for next season as well, so a lot more exposure for the AMF league, so that will be great to see from them. Yeah, they've only been with us one season and they're already becoming a real fan favourite. Then tomorrow night, Sunday, 8 o'clock GMT, is going to be the ARL American GT series. That'll be round 2 of the series over there. And then we are going to have on late Monday night, early Tuesday morning, is going to be the Rikmatech GT Challenge, so 11:45 p.m. GMT for that. And then that is pretty much going to be the last round that we're going to be covering on Apex Racing TV until we get all the way back round to the following Sunday. So yeah, just the couple of races broadcasted for week 13, and then keep an eye out on Facebook when we confirm our schedule for what is coming up for what is, of course, technically 2020 season 1 for iRacing, even though it starts, middle of December. So there'll be a little bit of interference with Christmas, and then we'll have our regular series and maybe a couple of new faces appearing on stream as well. So I think that will be wrapping us up for the evening. Thanks very much for joining us for the 3.5s. Remember, if you want to make sure you catch the 3.5 coverage next season, then subscribe to the iRacing Esports Network, and it will be a 10 o'clock p.m. Saturday night slot over there. So thank you to Chan and Dane joining me in the commentary box, with Smoothie Como working hard on cameras, always having his finger on the pulse of the race. And we look forward to seeing you all for the next broadcast, and have a good week 13.